Welcome to Agora Nexus with Atabai, where knowledge and awareness converge. Wisdom begins with curiosity. The unexamined life is not worth living.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've got uh, quite a significant stack of sources right here, all pointing towards one absolutely massive, incredibly fast-moving topic, the state of artificial intelligence as we head into 2025.
That's right. And we've pulled insights from a really diverse set of materials. We have a major cybersecurity readiness report from Cisco, a forward-looking piece on AI trends from Microsoft News, the extensive AI index report,
Mm-hmm.
some specific analysis on AI and EdTech, and a detailed report on AI and the future of healthcare from Berkeley Research Group. So quite a range.
What's striking, I think, across all these sources is how AI is quickly moving beyond just being, a tool we use sometimes.
Yeah.
It's rapidly becoming an integral, almost woven in part of how we live and work. It's transforming industries, certainly changing jobs, and raising some pretty complex questions we need to grapple with.
Absolutely. So our mission for this deep dive is to really cut through all that noise and deliver the concentrated insights. We want to distill what these reports tell us into a clear picture for you where AI stands right now, the pace of progress,
Right.
the significant challenges and risks it introduces, and crucially, what all of this actually means for you, whether you're using AI, building with it, or, just trying to understand the world around you.
Exactly. It's a complex, dynamic landscape, no doubt, but we're going to navigate it together, make it accessible, and hopefully pull out a few surprising or aha moments along the way.
Sounds good.
So let's just jump right into this whirlwind of AI evolution.
Okay. Well, the speed at which AI models and their capabilities are advancing is truly remarkable.
Yeah.
One of the most significant shifts highlighted in these sources is the emergence of AI-powered agents.
Agents, that sounds a bit sci-fi. What exactly are we talking about here? Like robots?
Not quite robots walking around, no. Think of them more as the next evolution of AI applications. One source described them as the apps of the AI era. So instead of just responding to simple prompts, these agents are designed to understand more complex goals and take a series of steps, sometimes autonomously, to achieve them. They can interact with multiple systems, sift through information, make decisions, and perform tasks that previously required, manual input across different software.
Ah, okay. So not just helping you write one email, but perhaps managing your entire inbox based on priorities you've set, coordinating calendar invites, summarizing documents, all without you doing each click.
Precisely. And this isn't theoretical, it's happening now. Reports show that nearly 70% of Fortune 500 companies, for instance, are already deploying tools like Microsoft 365 Copilot.
Wow, 70%.
Yeah, which acts as an AI agent within their workflows for tasks that used to eat up huge amounts of time. Things like analyzing data in spreadsheets, drafting reports, or summarizing lengthy meeting notes.
Okay, and here's where the underlying technical progress gets really interesting, because that's what's enabling this agentic behavior, right?
Yeah.
These models are getting demonstrably better at an incredible pace on challenging tests designed to measure their capabilities.
Absolutely. The AI Index report is just full of data on this. Look at something like SW Bench, which tests AI's ability to solve complex coding problems found in real software repositories.
Okay.
AI systems went from solving just, 4.4% of those problems in 2023 to a staggering 71.7% in 2024.
71%. That's not incremental improvement. That's a fundamental jump in coding proficiency.
It really is. And it's not just coding. On multidiscipline reasoning benchmarks like MMMU and GPQA, which test knowledge and reasoning across various academic subjects,
Right.
model performance jumped by nearly 19 and 49 percentage points respectively. So this shows AI is becoming much more capable at understanding and processing diverse information.
What's particularly fascinating about these technical gains, I think, is the competitive landscape they reveal. That same AI index report notes that the performance gap between the most advanced proprietary models, the big closed ones, and the top open-weight models, meaning the ones whose underlying code is accessible,
Yeah, the open source.
is narrowing significantly. It went from an 8% difference to just 1.7% on some key leaderboards in a single year.
That's huge. That tells us innovation isn't confined to just a couple of major labs. It's happening across the board, fostering more competition.
Right, and potentially accelerating progress even further.
It does. And, adding to that, smaller models are becoming surprisingly capable. A Microsoft model called Phi 3 Mini, which is relatively small in size,
Uh-huh.
achieved performance levels on a broad knowledge test that previously required models hundreds of times larger, like Google's Paul M model from just a few years ago.
Wow, so that's a huge step towards making powerful AI more accessible, right?
Uh-huh.
And less computationally intensive.
Exactly. Faster, smarter, and more accessible. That points to AI becoming cheaper and more efficient to run and deploy.
Which we're seeing.
We're seeing declining costs for running these models. The cost to get performance equivalent to GPT 3.5 dropped over 280-fold in just 2 years.
280-fold. Incredible.
Yeah. Hardware is getting cheaper too, falling about 30% annually. And while data center demand is definitely increasing to power all this AI, energy efficiency is also improving significantly per unit of work.
So the barriers to entry for utilizing advanced AI are really dropping rapidly.
They are.
Okay, so we've seen the incredible pace of improvement in the models themselves and how they're becoming more efficient agents. Now let's look at where this is actually showing up the applications across different sectors that are being fundamentally changed.
This is where the rubber really hits the road, as they say. We're seeing AI's enhanced reasoning capabilities being applied in increasingly sophisticated ways across fields like science, coding, math, law, and medicine.
And some specific technical approaches are proving particularly impactful. You hear a lot about retrieval augmented generation or RE systems.
Yes, RI's getting a lot of attention. These systems are designed to fetch specific, up-to-date information from databases or documents and use it to sort of ground the AI's response.
Making it more accurate, less likely to just make stuff up.
Exactly, less prone to hallucinating information. New benchmarks are even being developed just to test these specific RGA systems because they're so important for real-world use.
Makes sense.
And beyond text, the progress in image and video generation is just stunning. Models like Google's Imagen 3 and Veo, Meta's Movie Gen, OpenAI's Sora,
Yeah, Sora looked amazing.
they're enabling the creation of highly realistic and complex visual content that was, frankly, unimaginable just a short time ago.
And coding models, as we mentioned with SWE Bench, are also advancing significantly. Models like DeepSeek V3 and Gemini XP 1206 showing improved performance on programming tasks.
Right. And even the tests themselves, the benchmarks, are having to evolve rapidly, especially in areas like math and complex reasoning, because AI is getting so good, it's starting to max out the older ones.
That's a good problem to have, I guess.
Huh. In a way. Looking at specific sectors, science and medicine are seeing potentially revolutionary changes. We're seeing the development of foundation models, specifically trained for medical knowledge, like MedGemini,
Okay.
and specialized models for tasks like analyzing echocardiograms or radiology scans.
Protein science is another area just exploding with AI, isn't it?
Absolutely. Databases of known protein structures are growing exponentially, partly thanks to AI systems like AlphaFold. AI is being used to optimize protein sequences for specific tasks, even simulate how proteins interact.
Which could massively speed up drug discovery.
Potentially, yes. Speed up drug discovery and biological research dramatically.
And there's that ambitious brain mapping project mentioned.
Oh yeah, the project to map a cubic millimeter of the human brain down to the synaptic level.
Yeah.
This requires AI to process and analyze absolutely massive amounts of imaging data.
Giving us the most detailed map ever of human brain connections in a sample. Incredible.
It really is. And in medical imaging specifically, AI is already widespread. Over 80% of AI software cleared by the FDA is for medical imaging.
Wow.
Now, there are challenges, of course, like getting enough diverse data and ensuring these systems work well for everyone, but new modeling approaches are helping address that.
And AI is also being used to integrate social determinants of health, SDOH.
Right, factors like housing, food security, transportation, integrating those into clinical care decisions. This helps doctors consider the broader context of a patient's life, for instance, when planning cancer treatment, not just their immediate medical condition.
That seems really important.
It is. Clinical decision support systems, helping doctors with diagnoses or treatment plans, are also accelerating their adoption, partly boosted by the urgency of the pandemic.
Okay.
And AI-driven clinical trials, where AI helps design or analyze trials, are seeing significant global growth. China, the U.S., and Italy seem to be leading there.
Now, that Berkeley Research Group report focused specifically on healthcare providers and pharma, right?
It did. It noted high acceptance and implementation of AI in provider settings for, let's say, less risky tasks like administrative work and patient communication.
And the potential savings there.
Huge. Highlighting potential for significant administrative cost savings estimates are like 15% to 30% savings in the U.S. healthcare system alone.
That's a massive number.
It is. Pharma is, understandably, a bit slower, mostly due to the incredibly long drug development timelines and strict regulatory hurdles. The FDA hasn't yet approved a drug where AI was solely responsible for discovery and design.
But it's expected.
Widely expected to happen soon, yeah. But predictive analytics is already being used in pharma for crucial things like managing complex global supply chains.
Okay, shifting gears slightly to education. Generative AI has real potential there too, maybe behind the scenes.
Yeah, especially for administrators. By quickly analyzing and surfacing data-driven insights from databases, it could help improve policies and business practices. Critically important when handling sensitive student data privately, of course.
Absolutely. And in transportation, self-driving tech keeps moving forward.
It does. Concepts like Tesla's Cybercab, or their proposed RoboVan, and Baidu's RT6 in China show steps towards making autonomous vehicles more cost-effective and scalable for widespread deployment.
Still feels a way off for mass deployment, but the tech is progressing.
Definitely progressing. And AI is pushing boundaries in other fundamental sciences, too. There are now specialized AI language models trained just on physics texts.
Wow.
Weather forecasting models like GenCast that can produce highly accurate 15-day forecasts in minutes, not hours or days.
That's amazing for planning.
Huge. And even AI being applied in quantum computing to help detect errors or perform complex tasks that would take traditional supercomputers, well, ridiculous amounts of time.
The scale and breadth of these applications are truly astounding.
They really are.
But with all this incredible power and potential being unleashed, there's definitely another side of the coin. Significant challenges, risks, and readiness gaps that these sources also highlight pretty starkly.
This is the critical counterbalance to all the optimism. The Cisco Cybersecurity Readiness Index, for instance, provides some, well, quite stark numbers. Overall, cybersecurity readiness among companies is essentially flat.
Flat, while the threats are increasing.
Exactly. The threat landscape, often enhanced by AI, is rapidly escalating, but readiness isn't keeping pace.
And there was that worrying disconnect mentioned.
Right. 86% of business leaders surveyed reported experiencing at least one security incident related to AI in the past year. Yet, less than half, only 48%, believe their employees actually understand how attackers are using AI to make attacks more sophisticated.
That's a huge gap in awareness. That's scary.
It is. And making it worse, nearly a quarter of companies have employees using publicly available generative AI tools without any restrictions.
Oh boy.
That's like leaving sensitive company data vulnerable and potentially even inadvertently helping threat actors refine their methods by feeding them examples.
And compounding this defense challenge, overall IT spending is increasing faster than cybersecurity budgets.
Yeah, fewer companies are allocating a significant portion of their IT budgets specifically to security compared to the previous year. So it's harder to defend a growing and increasingly complex infrastructure with relatively less resource focus. The Cisco report broke readiness down into different areas. And one area with particularly low maturity globally is network resilience. A concerning 63% of companies are still only at formative or beginner levels here.
63%. That's fundamental stuff.
It is. While there's variation across industries, this lack of fundamental network preparedness is a significant vulnerability in an AI-powered threat environment.
Okay, so beyond just cyber attacks, responsible AI, or RAI, is a major challenge being highlighted everywhere now.
Absolutely. The AI index points out that the RAI ecosystem is evolving unevenly. There's a noticeable gap between organizations recognizing the risks associated with AI.
Yeah, everyone talks about the risks.
And them actually taking concrete action to mitigate them. We're seeing a rise in reported AI incidents, bringing these risks to the forefront.
Like that chatbot lawsuit.
Yeah, one example is a tragic lawsuit related to the Character.ai chatbot, which raises serious questions about the psychological impact and safeguards needed for conversational AI. On the flip side, you see reports like OpenAI disrupting disinformation campaigns using ChatGPT. So it shows that while AI can be misused, it can also be used to counter malicious activity. It cuts both ways.
Right. And privacy violations are a clear and ongoing concern, fundamentally because AI relies on just vast amounts of data to be trained, doesn't it?
It does. And ironically, while AI needs more data, the availability of easily accessible training data, sometimes called the data commons, is actually shrinking as websites and platforms restrict scraping more and more.
Interesting tension there.
In healthcare specifically, accuracy and patient data privacy are the top concerns. Regulators are viewing the open architecture of generative AI systems as a potential vulnerability that could erode patient trust.
So we're seeing guidance from agencies?
Yeah, guidance from agencies like HHS and investigations by the FTC highlight this focus. And the sources point out that traditional IT and security governance models are often proving inadequate for the unique challenges of managing AI development and deployment. You need something more tailored.
And even within the AI development process itself, there are still significant challenges, right? Like the models aren't perfect.
Far from it. Complex reasoning tasks like multi-step arithmetic or sophisticated planning are still hard for current large language models to perform reliably, especially on edge cases or complex instances.
Okay.
Plus, there's a recognized issue with the quality and standardization of AI benchmarks themselves. It makes it genuinely difficult to get a reliable apples-to-apples comparison of different models' true capabilities. How good is it really? It's hard to say definitively sometimes.
Right, which brings us to the human element, how AI is impacting jobs, education, and broader public opinion.
Exactly. It's undeniable that AI is changing how people do their jobs. Awareness of this change is increasing across all generations. Perhaps surprisingly, the biggest jump in recognizing AI's potential impact on their work in the next 5 years was seen among millennials and baby boomers.
Interesting. Not just the younger generations.
No, we're also seeing a clear increase in job postings explicitly requiring AI-related skills. The sources highlight skills like SQL, data analysis, computer science fundamentals, and Python programming as being among the most in demand.
Makes sense. And there's quantitative evidence of AI boosting productivity, you said?
There is. One study highlighted showed customer support agents using a generative AI assistant increased the number of issues they resolved per hour by a significant 14.2%.
Wow.
What's interesting is the gains appeared quickly and even seemed to persist for a while if the tool was temporarily unavailable.
So it wasn't just the tool doing the work.
It suggests the AI wasn't just doing the work for them, but perhaps helping them work smarter, maybe learn better ways to do things.
Interesting. On the education front, though, there are significant challenges, especially looking at K-12 schools.
Definitely. Disparities in infrastructure, access to technology and resources, and equity across different districts are hindering our ability to prepare all students for a future that will be deeply intertwined with technology.
I mean, we don't even have good data on this.
There's a noted lack of standardized data collection on AI readiness in K-12, making it hard to track progress nationally or identify where the biggest gaps are.
And the sources remind us that globally, we still face a significant challenge with gender parity in AI-related higher education fields.
Yeah, still a big issue. On average, women make up only about a quarter of graduates in fields like information and communication technologies at all degree levels.
So building an equitable AI educational ecosystem that prioritizes not just technical skills, but also a deep understanding of AI ethics and societal impact is crucial.
Absolutely critical for responsible future development.
And what about the general public? What do people think about all this?
Well, survey data reveals pretty varied expectations for AI's potential impact across different parts of life, from the economy and jobs to personal productivity, entertainment, and health.
So a mix of excitement and maybe worry.
Exactly. These varying opinions likely reflect both the exciting potential and the significant uncertainties people perceive.
Okay, so given this entire picture, the rapid technical progress, the widespread applications, and these significant challenges, it's no surprise that governments globally are feeling an increasing urgency around AI governance and policy.
Definitely. We're seeing global cooperation on this topic intensifying. Organizations like the OECD, EU, UN, African Union, they're actively developing and releasing frameworks,
Focusing on.
often focusing on core principles like transparency, fairness, and trustworthiness in AI systems. Try and get some common ground rules.
And 2024 saw some significant policy developments, right?
It did. The UN General Assembly adopted a landmark resolution promoting safe, secure, and trustworthy AI, which was supported by a huge number of member states. That signals a broad global consensus on the need for guiding principles.
And Europe.
The European Commission released the first draft of its Code of Practice specifically for general-purpose AI systems. And the U.S. launched an international AI safety network with partners globally.
Focusing on things like deepfakes.
Yeah, focused on areas like managing risks from synthetic content and evaluating advanced AI models.
We also saw concrete country-level legislation enacted. You mentioned Austria.
Austria, yeah, established an AI service center and advisory board. Latvia put in place regulations for AI and election campaigning, requiring disclosure for AI-generated content, banning automated fake profiles.
A direct response to election interference worries.
Exactly. Russia created a framework for sharing anonymized data for AI development, while simultaneously regulating AI decisions in certain areas and restricting foreign access to sensitive data. So a mix of enabling and controlling.
And within the U.S., activity at the state level, too, especially on deepfakes in elections.
Right. Policy is clearly trying to catch up with the technology on multiple fronts globally. It's a moving target.
So bringing it all together then, what these sources paint for us is a picture of an AI landscape defined by, well, just dizzying technological progress and widespread potential applications, fundamentally changing numerous fields, all happening at an unprecedented pace.
And simultaneously, they underscore the significant and persistent security risks, ethical challenges, and readiness gaps that are not only still present, but in some areas like cybersecurity readiness versus threats are actually worsening. It's a real duality.
So key takeaways drawn from combining these different reports reinforce this dual reality.
Absolutely. Organizations absolutely need to realistically assess their specific AI readiness gaps and invest strategically. The Cisco report powerfully highlights that.
And that report on healthcare governance points to the imperative for robust AI-specific governance models, right? Especially in sensitive sectors.
Yes. Models that go beyond traditional IT security to manage the unique complexities of AI development and deployment effectively.
Addressing fundamental issues like ensuring data privacy and guaranteeing the accuracy of AI outputs remains critical as AI becomes more deeply embedded in decision-making processes across, well, everything we do.
It really does. And the AI Index reminds us of the ongoing need for standardized, high-quality evaluations and benchmarks. We need ways to truly keep pace with and measure the capabilities and limitations of these rapidly evolving AI systems.
Right. We need to know what they can really do and what they can't.
Exactly. And finally, across education and public opinion, there's a clear and urgent need for building a more equitable and ethically informed AI ecosystem, starting with education right down in K-12 to prepare society for this future.
It's an incredibly dynamic and pivotal moment, isn't it? Being truly well-informed about AI in 2025 isn't just about being wowed by the exciting new capabilities.
No, it's more than that.
It's equally, perhaps more importantly, about understanding the critical underlying issues of security, ethics, governance, and preparedness that need to be addressed concurrently.
The sources we've explored provide a lot of data and direction, but navigating the path forward requires thoughtful, conscious effort from individuals and organizations alike.
Which leaves us with a provocative thought to ponder as you go about your day. Given this dual reality of astonishingly rapid advancements alongside those persistent, significant challenges in security and responsible deployment, how can you best prepare yourself and potentially your organization to navigate this increasingly AI-driven world responsibly? Think about your own interaction with AI tools and the readiness of the systems and organizations you rely on every day. Something to really consider.
If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any episode. Your support means the world to us.